She was just having a drink when she accidentally dropped in 2 extra ice cubes. The next second, her glass suddenly and mysteriously cracked open, but she didn't notice a thing. Even stranger, the leaking liquor happened to drip onto her laptop. And guess what happened next? It wasn't until that moment that she sensed something was wrong. The computer started to smoke, and out of nowhere, an explosion sent shards flying straight into her throat. If she didn't get help right away, the consequences would be fatal, but death isn't so easy to escape. Sparks from the explosion ignited the alcohol that had spilled onto the floor. The fire spread quickly, right to the stove. Barely clinging to life, she reached for a towel to stop the bleeding, only to fall into yet another of death's carefully laid traps. And why was she so unlucky? Because she was never supposed to be alive. She had already been marked for death, but was accidentally saved by one of her students. It all started just a few days ago. She was planning a graduation trip to Paris with her class. Everything seemed perfect on the surface, but danger was already lurking beneath. Then, one of the boys suddenly noticed something strange. All flights at the airport had been cancelled without explanation. All except theirs. Their flight was still set to depart. And then the weird coincidences started piling up. His birthday? September 25th. The departure time? 9:25. On the screen, the word final flashed in bold, almost like a sign that his life was about to end. Then the airport announcement system switched to playing a song. What's creepy? The artist who wrote that very song had died in a plane crash. All these eerie coincidences gave him serious chills. He even thought about canceling the trip and going home. But by then, he was already boarding. So, hoping it was all in his head, he got on the plane. He slumped into his seat, tension running through his body, especially when he saw the old, worn-out wing through the window. Something just didn't feel right. Then 2 girls suddenly interrupted his thoughts. They asked if they could switch seats with him. Alex agreed without hesitation. But this seemingly small decision would soon prove to be a critical one. Once in his new seat, the tray table in front of him suddenly fell down on its own. As he reached to fix it, he realized the latch was broken. At the time, he didn't think much of it. The plane began to taxi. His nerves tightened. But eventually, the flight took off smoothly. His anxiety began to ease, and the students cheered as their graduation trip officially began. What none of them knew was that the final stop on this trip would be hell. Shortly after takeoff, the plane suddenly hit violent turbulence. Lights began to flicker from a power surge, and then the oxygen masks dropped. But by that point, it was already too late. Sparks flew across the cabin. Then, unbelievably, the cabin door blew off. Panic took over. Everything descended into chaos. The teacher could do nothing but watch helplessly as her students were sucked out of the sky, one by one. But in the end, their fate would be the same.